Hey everybody, welcome to Lex's World. How's everybody doing? Hope you're all doing well. I'm just sitting around here waiting for something to happen, waiting for some meters to balance out. And once that's done, I'll show it to you. But while I wait, I wanted to bring up that break from cannabis that I promised to take during my last live stream. It was pointed out to me by several people that in my cannabinoid hypermesis syndrome episode or in my cannabis tolerance break episode, I always recommend people take tolerance breaks, and people were saying, hey man, taking breaks from cannabis is not that simple, so if you think it is, you should do it. So I decided, hey, I would do it and I would record the results. And so I took about a month off weed. To be honest, it was about 27 days, not quite a full month, but new stuff just kind of stopped happening at the 3.5 week mark, so I just said to hell with it. But in any case, this was the most prolonged break I've taken since I was in my early 20s. It's the biggest prolonged break I've taken in a decade. The first thing I noticed was that there were cravings. They weren't intense, they weren't overwhelming, but they were certainly there, especially during the first 4 days or so, and especially when I was doing things where I was used to being high while I did them, like writing scripts for this show, which is a very creative activity. I used to do that while high, and I did find myself craving weed while I was writing the scripts. I talked to various people I know about their own breaks from cannabis while I was on this break, and the big theme I picked up from people is that most people will end up going on to some kind of other vice while they're off weed. So, like, let's say they're not smoking a lot of weed, but they will end up drinking more alcohol or smoking more cigarettes or drinking more coffee. Um, I don't really do any of that stuff. I don't drink coffee or drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes like at all, any of those. So I didn't really have another fallback vice to fall onto. Maybe I was eating a little bit more if I'm perfectly honest, but not significantly more. I didn't really gain any weight during that month off. The one signature feeling that I experienced during this month off is boredom. Without weed, I was bored. I found myself for the first time in a very long time watching movies, like old movies that I've watched before. And that's the stuff I used to do back before weed when I was a kid, is when I was bored, I would just sit around watching a whole lot of television and largely movies. And I'd stopped doing that for many years. Oh man, the other thing that's noteworthy though were the dreams. I had some crazy vivid dreams as I went through this break. And the dreams started like the second day in and they wouldn't stop. I have done an episode in the past about how cannabis affects sleep and dreams. I'll link to it in the video description. And basically, it takes away your vivid dreaming when you smoke a lot of weed. And it's also ruining your REM sleep as a result. And yeah, it's true, I hadn't really dreamt in a long time. And I wasn't really missing it consciously, but my mind probably wanted to dream because once it could, it dreamt a lot. And I did feel a little bit better rested in the mornings, I gotta say. Though it was quite an experience going from no dreams for years to super vivid dreams every single night. By the way, today's super introspective episode is brought to you guys by the Enhancer, by TNB Naturals. The Enhancer is a chemical reaction-based CO2 system, and I'll link to TNB Naturals in the video description. Now, for those of you who've been wondering what I've been doing here waiting for a few meters, let me show you right here. Just pick you up. There you go, guys. This is where I was sitting, and I was actually waiting for these hygrometers to balance out. I was here testing devices that measure humidity in a grow room. And what I originally had going on here was I just had these two. And this little one is a battle-hardened one that I've used for ages, and it was displaying 46% relative humidity, which I felt was right. This one was right out of the box. It's also a CO2 monitor, so I would have expected that its hygrometer was really good, but it was displaying 63% relative humidity, as you can see at the bottom right corner. So I was a little bit confused by all this, and then I added this fellow right here, and voila, now I know that the correct humidity is in fact 46%. This one is also brand new out of the box. So, yeah, don't always assume that just because a hygrometer comes attached to a nicer unit like a CO2 monitor that it is the best hygrometer you can get. The CO2 monitor here seems to work correctly. I happen to know that that's the correct level in this room right now. As for fixing the hygrometer on that one, I believe that if you use the Windows CD that comes with it, you can calibrate it. This one has manual calibration, and this one that seems to be still measuring correctly has no calibration option at all. So it really appears that there's a little bit more to judging these hygrometers than meets the eye. I'll try to link to a few of them in the description for you guys, because I do have some experience with picking out good ones from bad ones. On that note, I think that's everything I had to say today. I mostly wanted to talk about my break from cannabis for a month. I hope you all subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll see you all next time on Lex's World, where I'll be talking about CO2, I think.